1 is the loneliest number that you ever. Hey guys, Johnny Nerd out here. Guess what I got? I'm not gonna tell you. No, I'm just kidding, I'll tell you. Tandem bike. This is, you know, just your average run-of-the-mill 50-year-old vintage tandem bike that has got brought into 2021. Is that what year it is? Yeah, 2021. If you're new to this channel, I'm Johnny Nerd Out. I professionally convert bikes into e-bikes. Self-proclaimed professional e-bike builder. I don't have a certificate or anything, but if you're into stuff like this, check out my other videos. Got a couple more, got some other cool builds out there if you're into like the weird builds, or if you're just looking for a bike idea for you to convert. Check out my other videos. If you like this too, you should think about subscribing. It's a really quick application process. We review it 6 to 8 months later after reviewing all your references and everything like that. We will get back to you on whether we accepted you as a subscriber, and then you could get notifications every time I make a new video. So yeah, if you're interested in that, think about submitting an application to becoming a subscriber. This is a Columbia Twosome. Yeah, Columbia Twosome. This is like from the early 70s, I think. I believe it's from the early 70s. It was in this customer's family for, I don't know if it's since new, but if not since new, for a very, very long time. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna donate it, we're gonna get rid of it and get like $100 for it? Or why don't we just revive it and make it alive and get some joy out of this? This is something that the whole family can enjoy, like literally all ages. What kid wouldn't love this bike, and what adult wouldn't love this bike? Let's go over everything we did here. Because this is a tandem bike and it's gonna be hauling a lot of load, a lot of people, we went with the BBSHD motor. It's a 1,000-watt motor. At peak, it will put out a little over 1,700 watts. I put a 28 tooth Lucky Bling ring on it. That's the smallest it'll go. That'll give it the most torque, the least amount of strain on this motor, because it's going to be just hauling 400 plus pounds of person on this. I didn't want to put too much strain on it, so I went with the smallest chain ring we can, and that's the Lucky Bling ring. I also went with single speed chain here because I didn't want to put all that strain on a 8-speed, 9-speed chain, whatever. And especially since, I don't know if you could see, I had this wheel built up. It's a Sturmey Archer 3-speed. It's the SRC 3. It's an internally geared 3-speed hub. Before this, it was just a single speed. It was a single speed coaster brake before it, so it was like, well, I think an internally geared hub in this is the best case scenario. So we were able to use a single speed chain here. Those things are super strong. They're thicker than an average chain, so it's gonna be a lot stronger. These things should not break, and it allows the chain line to be perfect. We went ahead, we upgraded the saddles. We went with some Planet bike saddles. These are big, comfy ones. They're like 10 inches by 10 inches, I think. So these are nice, comfy ones. We upgraded the hand grips. We got new, updated hand grips on it. We've got a throttle. We went with the display. We went with the C961. It's just a basic black and white display. Kind of sticks with the motif. We don't need to be flashy with this bike. This bike isn't about flash. This is about just chilling and having fun and taking your kids on the back and riding it. Speaking of, people are like, you're gonna put kids on that bike? Because yes, as you can see, it only has rim brakes on this. They were little tiny pads they had on this. So I went with the Cool Stop. I took the biggest brake pads I could find to put them on here. It helped out a little bit. And if you have something like this, where you have rim brakes where you're not quite sure what you wanna do, clean up the rims, use some alcohol, rub up the rims, make sure that the brake line, I put brand new brake lines on this, new hoses and lines. So everything is brand new brake line wise. It's just, rim brakes with this size bike are not going to be the greatest. So ideally you'd like to have disc brakes, and hydraulic disc brakes would be the highest echelon. Mechanical disc brakes would then be ideal, but this has got a coaster brake, so it's going to be, actually the rear brake on this is probably stronger than those front brakes. So it's up to the person in the back to really be the one braking. The front freewheels because it's got the Bafang mid-drive. The rear does not freewheel, so whoever's back here is going to be pedaling along with it. Also, speaking of this kickstand, sitting on this kickstand, put a dual leg adjustable kickstand for this because this is a heavy bike. This one is from Public Bikes. It's a nice kickstand. And powering the motor is a 52 volt, 17.5 amp hour battery that has a 30 amp BMS. So this will put out 17 100 watts. Yeah, I mean, for a vintage bike, there was a lot of things to deal with on this because it's a 50-year-old bike. It took a little bit of time. I think this build took about 4 weeks. Just by, you do one thing, you find out, oh, I needed another part. You order that, I have to find that part, get it. And a lot of it was custom engineering to try to get this thing back on. I used a conduit hanger right here. We got a gear shift sensor right here because it is a 3-speed. I just love putting gear shift sensors on it. It's the smartest thing you can do, best investment you can. And yeah, these Sturmey Archers aren't that hard to get wired up and cabled up. It's pretty straightforward. It's just the adjustments are pretty straightforward. So if you have a bike like this and you're thinking about going internally geared hub for something like this, it isn't that bad. And see my other video on internally geared hubs if you're thinking about that. Put new tires on it, front and rear. And yeah, we're not gonna do a Johnny Nerd Out test on this bike because that's not what this bike is about. This bike is not about 0 to 60 hill climbing. This bike is just about chilling with the fam. All right, later guys.